What's going on YouTube? WWF Hasbro Man here, and we're back with another NASCAR DFS video. Today we're talking the Cup Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Please be sure, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Your support means a lot to me. Subscribe to the channel for more weekly NASCAR DFS content. Alright, before we get started with the video, I just want to review last week's NASCAR Cup race at Miami. The video we talked about three drivers in particular: Tyler Reddick, Matty D, and Kyle Larson. You can see, Reddick was pretty chalky at 79%. He was the highest scoring driver. He was, a great play. Larson was a little lower owned. He did wonderful as well. Matt Benedento, he was doing decent all race, and he just kind of ended up with some trouble. He got himself down a lap. He just could never get back, and he was just kind of stuck in the back. Newman, Alfredo, good value plays that we talked about. Newman was great at only 14% and 54 points at a $6,400 salary. That was a great payoff. Overall, I was able to cash. I did profit last Sunday. But we're back at it again this weekend, so let's get started with the picks. All right, so you can see I have the last five races up on the right side of the screen. Just a few stats that I wanted to highlight: the cautions and the lead laps by the driver that led the most, second most, and third most. You can see, we're at about 6.8 cautions, say 7 cautions. 2 of those are obviously going to be for our stage break, so we're about 5 cautions a race. And the truck race, definitely there was a lot of cautions this year. So I don't know if Xfinity will be the same. That's going to start in about 2 hours. And who knows, maybe the Cup race as well. But basically, the point I'm trying to make here is, it's not a ton of cautions typically. It's longer runs. You can see the lead laps. The top scoring driver usually leads about 100 laps, and that's pretty significant bonus points. There's 267 laps total. There's going to be stage breaks after lap 1 and after lap 80 and after lap 160. And a total of 186.9 Dominator points available. So let's get started with my picks. I'm going to start here up top, and I'm actually going to look at 2 drivers. And listen, there's 9 good drivers up here, all the way from Kyle Busch all the way down to Denny Hamlin. I think these are all good drivers. Different drivers are better at this track than others, but I think I could see a case for almost any one of these drivers. So I'm going to value. And I think Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin are just too cheap. Last year, just 5 races ago, they were the top 2 highest priced drivers every single week. Harvick and Hamlin were up top. This week, Kevin Harvick is the 7th highest priced driver on DK. Yet on FanDuel, he remains the highest price driver. And then Denny Hamlin is the 9th highest priced driver on DK this week. And on FanDuel, they have him as the 5th highest driver. For me, I could see a case on all these top 9 drivers. As I said, I'm going to go with the value. I'm going to look at Harvick. I'm going to look at Hamlin. Starting up front, I think Harvick can get out early and definitely at least lead some, if not most, of stage 1. So my first 2 picks are going to be Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin. And another thing with going with these 2 drivers at that salary, it really lets you do a lot more with your lineup. If I'm up top and I'm locking in Martin Truex and Ryan Blaney, maybe, that's nice, and I think those 2 are great plays. I actually think Truex can win this race, but that's taken away. From Truex to Hamlin, that's $1,900 difference, and I think I can spend up elsewhere. There's not a lot of great value this week. And that's another reason why I want to go with Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin as my first pick. All right, so this next pick, this driver's had nothing but bad luck this year. Matt Benedento, I think that luck's going to turn around. He can't be crashing out and having car trouble every single week. It eventually will turn around, and I think this is definitely the week. Last year, he raced here twice, second place both times at this track. He has good equipment, strong equipment. There's no reason he can't finish right outside that top 10. And he's good at mile and a half tracks. In 14 mile and a half tracks last year, it's a 13th place average finish. So Matty D, I'm going to be locking him in. And I'm going to keep up with the scenario here of, by locking Harvick and Hamlin in as my dominators, I'm able to pay up for Matty D at $9,000. And I'm just going to go back. That's another reason why I really do want to play Harvick, Hamlin, and now De Benedento as well. All right, and for my next pick, I'm going to look at Chris Buescher, and I feel like I'm starting to develop a little bit of a theme here with pricing that's just mispriced on DraftKings. If you take a look here, to start the season, Chris Buescher was a $7,400 driver after the duels, $6,900 for Daytona. The Daytona Road Course, he was up to $7,200. So he finishes 11th at the Daytona Road Course, and then for some reason they drop him $900 all the way down to $6,300. Last week, he had a very strong showing at Las Vegas, in which he led 57 laps, and he had 39 fast laps. And then they only raise his price by $100. So at $6,400, I think Chris Buescher needs to be at least $1,000 more right now, and I'm going to take advantage of the misprice. He has great track history here. In his last 6 races, 18th is the worst finish that he has, and his average finish is 15th. If he can finish right in that 15th to 18th range at $6,400, he's really going to help me and allow me to do what I want with my team. So Chris Buescher is going to be my next pick. All right, and then for my last pick, another value driver right below Chris Buescher, we're going to talk about Corey Lejoy at $6,300, starting 33rd. He offers you good place differential. He can move up. There's a lot of poor drivers in the field this week that are going to occupy those 30th positions, 30th to last. So I think Corey Lejoy moves up. Last year in lesser equipment, in my opinion, 14 mile and a half races, he had a 24th place average finish. So if he can duplicate that average finish, I think that's a really good return on your money for Corey Lejoy. He finished 16th here in the first race last year at Las Vegas. And again, he offers you that salary savings to now help pay up for some of the other top tier drivers you may want to get into your lineup. All right, and the last thing I just want to touch on is roster construction. There's a lot of ways to go, but the approach that I kind of am looking at this weekend is not spending all the way up to the top, and I want to try to lock in, a Kevin Harvick at 9,700, a Denny Hamlin 92, Matt DiBenedetto 9,000. If I go with my other 2 picks of Corey Lejoy and Chris Buescher, I have 9,400 left over, and coincidentally enough, that leads me right to Kyle Larson. So this week I can build a lineup with Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin. Those 3 alone, I could see any one of those 3 getting out front and leading some laps. So I really like a build like that. You could go other ways too. Maybe you don't like Harvick and Hamlin this week, and maybe you do like Truex, and you do like the Blaney play. That's going to be almost 22,000 just between those 2. And maybe then you go back down and you do grab Corey Lejoy, and maybe you like Anthony Alfredo. He's been pretty consistent in the end of the 20s. You can grab 2 of these $8,000 drivers then as well. Maybe you look to a guy like Tyler Reddick, who's good on the mile and a halves, and potentially you do like the place differential that Eric Almirola also has built into him. So, and actually that puts you $300 over. But, something like that you can look at as well. I think I do like my builds, so I think that's going to be the way I'm going to be going this week, guys. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Your support means a lot. Any questions, comments, feel free to post them below. And please subscribe to the channel. We're going to be having weekly NASCAR DFS content.